guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, if you guys, is another movie review. We're finally done with the Monsterverse, at least for now. I don't know about Monarch the show. I might order that soon, who knows. But we are talking, we're talking about it, and we're tackling it. The next movie franchise that a lot of people have seen, probably millions of people. I haven't yet. It's Mission Impossible. Now, we are doing all, I believe there's 7. There's the latest one is Dead Reckoning Part 1. So I'm going to do that. Go through all of them. I have them all on Blu-ray, so I'm going to watch them. And I finally watched Mission Impossible 1 the other day because basically I've always wanted to watch them. I've loved Kingsman ever since I saw those 3 movies, Kingsman, Golden Circle, The Kingsman. Haven't seen James Bond or Jason Bourne, none of that, but I really wanted to see Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise is a weirdo, but I think that he could make these good action movies. Plus, Mission Impossible 1, that movie is in Lego Dimensions, right? You get the pack or whatever, and you play through a level, and then you get a whole open world of Mission Impossible, and I kind of understood what was going on, but I'm playing it, and I'm like, I don't know what the F is going on in this world. It's just a lot of stuff I don't know, you know what I mean? It's a lot of references I don't know. I finally watched the first one, and I'm going to be honest, it was good, but it was too friggin' convoluted for its own good. Like, when I think Mission Impossible, a lot of people think of Tom Cruise, trying to kill himself, jumping off buildings or going off motorcycles or doing a halo jump or whatever the hell he's doing in the latest movie. It's just like totally insane that the stunt guys are probably like biting their nails, you know what I mean? Or, please don't die, you know what I mean? They're just freaking out. And this one is, quite tame, at least compared to the other ones. I mean, he does this crazy run when he blows up a tank with that explosive gum and all that, and he's running out and it's exploding. I mean, that's real. He really did that, so it is a lot of water, but, it's kind of mild compared to the other stuff. Again, there is that train scene in the end, which is cool. Obviously, they didn't fly a freaking helicopter into a train tunnel, but it looks good. Like, for, I believe, 1996 or something like that. A few years before Episode 1, The Phantom Menace of Star Wars, it does hold up. Like, the CGI looks good. It doesn't look fake. The acting is fine. I think, obviously, it's Tom Cruise's first role as Ethan Hunt. So, obviously, I don't want to say it's the worst because I haven't seen the other ones yet, but, it's the first one. But it's good. You know what I mean? I think the acting's fine. Jon Voight, I think, or something like that, and Jim Phelps. Claire, they're all good. You know what I mean? They're fine. I think Luther Stickle and then that Vegeta guy, or whatever his name is, the Russian guy in the helicopter in the end that makes all the stupid faces, it's in there. And, look, it's not a perfect movie, and again, it did kind of weird me out, because I was expecting, tons of fist fighting and shooting guns and explosions, and there's explosions, but I don't think there's really much of a fist fight or a gun scene. Like, it's like, there's a few explosions, like I said, but really, this is a spy movie based in spy stuff. Like, there's the cool gadgets and all that shit, but, like, it's really kind of slower paced. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of stuff in there. I wasn't bored, but I was kind of like, there's a lot of talking. There's a lot of things happening, right? You got the NOC list, which is like the big MacGuffin, which the NOC list, NOC list, kind of has all the Mission Impossible, the IMF, the Impossible Missions Force. They have all of their names on this list, and if it goes viral and it, goes public, they're kind of effed as a group, and they kind of keep that secrecy going. So they're really trying to hunt the NOC list and all that, and then you have this crazy thing where Ethan's team, they all get disposed, they all kind of quote-unquote die, and Ethan is kind of blamed by Kittredge, that guy who's like, your mission to choose what second, that guy. I heard him all the time in Lego Dimensions, I don't know who the fuck this guy was, but now I know who he is. He was in this game, game a lot, and he's in this movie, and I'm like, oh, is he the bad guy? So there's a lot of twists and turns in this film. I really didn't know what the fudge was going on. But, you look at like a movie like Knives Out, I don't know what the fudge is going on in Knives Out. But it's such a well-made movie that I'm not confused and mad about it. This film is good, but there are so many friggin' questions that are posed and so many things that are happening. I'm watching it and I'm like, alright, so Ethan's the spy. Kittredge was good, but I guess he's bad now because he's trying to kill Ethan. And then Jon Voight dies. Jim Phelps dies. Then he comes back. And then Claire dies, but she comes back. And then they're looking for this guy called Job from Job 314 or whatever, like a Bible verse. And then there's this person named Max, who turns out to be an old woman named Max, obviously for secrecy reasons and all that. But there's a lot of stuff in this movie. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this thing. It ended at like 11:30. So I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I liked it. It had, fine acting, fine writing, good plot, decent plot. Really good set pieces, especially where he kind of dangles in front of that thing and they're trying to be quiet. That's a very iconic scene. It's cool to see that, fully. And then, of course, that explosion in the end with the train fight. I mean, it's good stuff. But there's a lot of stuff in between that where I was constantly thinking to myself, and not in a good way, is this guy good? Is this girl bad? Why is this person doing that? Why is this person doing... And I know they all get answered in the end, but it's one of those things where, like, I was watching Godzilla King of the Monsters, and they had some questions on that, and that wasn't that infuriating. Obviously, it was a little bit, so I was like, wait, why is Godzilla killing all these people now? I thought he was a good guy. But, they explained it. This is very secretive in that, yeah, it's a spy movie, and there's very little action in this movie for an action spy thriller. That's not a bad thing. It's just kind of weirded me out. I'm watching, I'm like, why the hell is there, like, 2 fight scenes in the whole thing? And there's barely any fight scenes in it. And I know, when I look at the newer movies, it's just like all action from the trailers. But this one is very quaint in its design, right? There's not a whole lot going on. It's literally just Ethan Hunt and his IMF team are trying to get this knock list, and they're trying to secure it from the bad guys. And, we find out in the end, of course, who the bad guy is. Spoiler alert for a 1996 movie. It's, Phelps, obviously, and of course the reason why Kittredge is trying to kill Ethan is because he thinks he's the mole. He's the guy that kind of set up this whole conspiracy and got his team killed and all that. So when it is explained in the end, it's like, oh shit, like, the light bulb, bing moment, But at the same time, it is, there's a few moments where I'm sitting there and I'm like, this could have been done a little more better. I don't know what I would do, but the general consensus online, I looked it up because I'm thinking, am I stupid? Like, am I just not getting this? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what's wrong? And if it turns out that no, like, it's not just me. A lot of the internet says that this movie is notoriously convoluted, or too confusing, or convoluted for its own good. And that's kind of the general, like I said, consensus online. It's a good movie, but there's a lot of exposition, a lot of lore, and a lot of dialogue that if you're really not paying attention or not putting two and two together, you might be a little bit confused. And it's a 2-hour movie, so it's not like it's that fast and you're like, oh, it's an hour and a half and it's just too quick. It's decently paced. Again, there's just not a whole lot of action in it. When the action's there, it's good. And again, they're kind of setting up the world building and whatnot, but at that same point, I'm watching it, and again, I was like, man, this is a little convoluted for its own good. But really, as far as negatives go, that's basically it. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie. There's some pretty funny jokes in there. I think the CGI holds up, especially that scene where the helicopter goes in the train tunnel and Ethan kind of like propels forward after he, blows up the thing with this explosive gum. Because, it's funny. When I play the LEGO Dimensions game and I play as Ethan Hunt, he's screaming all these things. When you put him on the toy pad or he does something, he'll scream, "This is Ethan Hunt," or "Red light, green light." And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is he saying red light, green light? Like, I never saw the movies when I played the game for the first time. So I'm like, what the fudge is going on? Like, this is confusing. You know what I mean? I don't get it. And now actually having seen this first movie, and he does that line, I'm sitting there at 11:30 at night in my chair, and I'm like, oh, I know now. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. And it was really good stuff to kind of see that connect, because now when I replay this game, I'll be able to kind of understand, what the heck is actually going on finally, so that's cool. But overall, it's not... Look, I haven't seen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 yet, so I can't really say this is the best or worst one. But as a standalone movie so far, I'm watching Mission Impossible 2. I think I've already seen it by the time this goes up, but I don't have a basis to really compare between them. But it is fun. Like, it's a fun movie. It's got a lot of good action when it's there. The plot, again, a little too confusing and convoluted for its own good. I know why they did it, and it's a spy movie. I get it. But for general audiences, it could have been a little bit, too much. It wasn't that bad because, again, they do explain it, and by the end, things are kind of, explained a little bit. Like, they don't really say why Luther Stickle gets back in the IMF. They never really even said he was out of the IMF. I guess because Kittredge was blaming them. I mean, there's a few things that don't tell you straight up. And I'm not the kind of film I love the sequel trilogy in Star Wars, and that trilogy is definitely not easy to understand. It's possible, and I do understand it, but like you look at the prequels from Star Wars. Those are very cut and dry movies. They're very black and white. What you see is what you get. There's a few things in there you got to think, themes and whatnot, but very much for the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, it's what you see is what you get, and this one is not it at all, you know what I mean? So if you're trained for a movie to explain and hold your hand, this might confuse you, and it might kind of, I don't want to say make you angry, but for me, I was like, what's going on? You know what I mean? I don't know there's a lot of twists and turns, but it felt like too twisty and too turny, where I was like, all right, this is just too confusing, and I kind of just dropped off for a little bit, you know what I mean? But finally, once it's explained, it does feel like it clicks. Finally, and I was kind of able to go, okay, I know what's going on now, and I can actually, follow along to the end of this battle scene here in the end. So yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite. I haven't seen the other ones, so it's not my favorite, but it's also not my least favorite. So there you go. It's kind of in the middle, I guess. But I enjoyed it for the most part. It's watchable. It's fun. It's funny. A lot of really good tense moments in there, especially with the drop scene and all that. Really cool, scene in the end. And again, a little confusing, but again, thankfully they kind of make it all make sense in the end. Because if they didn't, this score would be a lot lower. But I'm going to give Mission Impossible 1, I'm going to give it a B+. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Not perfect, and I had some issues, obviously, but it is a fun movie. Pretty cool action, good story for the most part, and yeah, like I said, a lot of twists and turns for sure, whether that be good or bad. But I'm excited to tackle and talk about Mission Impossible 2 very soon. That one is by John Woo, or some guy that's like really good at making Asian films in Asia, or like Chinese Japan areas, and then he kind of brought that over to the West where we are, and or at least where I am, and there's a lot of like two-handed gunfights and all that, and I hear Ethan's got some crazy hair, so I'm excited to watch it. It's cool that each movie is a little bit different. This one is very much a spy movie, and it's very, it holds true to that for sure. But tell me in the comments down below what you think about Mission Impossible 1, and I cannot wait to dive into the rest of this series. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.